Thank you. Thanks for that, Nick. I mean, the questions I wanted to ask you asked them. And yeah, homelessness is a big thing across the country. And I mean, the Northwest actually, you were going on about immigration. Housing. The Northwest gets more asylum seekers than any other section in the country. Andy Burnham's talked about that. And yeah, there's a big pressure on our housing. But anyway, today I did write a speech out, but today I'm going to go a bit off the cuff because I'm sick of what I see on our streets this day and age right now. We had the Rochdale by-election last week, and by the time the election come, we've had a video against Simon Dansack of the Reform Party, calling him all sorts of nasty things, buzzwords, threatened his life. And then we also had one of the independents who I was supporting, PAG UK Billy, William Howarth. We had him as well abused in the street, which isn't on any mainstream media. They only got Simon Dansack, but they haven't put Billy's case up. But we're going to be following these cases. Now, a lot of you will be aware that last week a lad in Leeds got 2 years for stickers. Now, it's a controversial group called Patriotic Alternative, and the stickers were controversial, but they weren't threatening or hateful. There was one sticker that was offensive to me, but it wasn't hateful or anything, which said about deporting or asking people of first, second generation to go back to that was a worse sticker, but it wasn't calling for violence or anything, so he got 2 years. So I'm going to expect these two guys who racially abused candidates in Rochdale elections to get more than 2 years jail time. Yeah. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going to every court case. I'll be all over Twitter and X over this, and we're going to push to make sure these guys get 10 years minimum each. You know what I mean? Because we're not having people who are elected candidates, and even though Simon Dansack's got a bit of a shady past, when he was an MP, he was a good MP in Rochdale, and he's a Democratic candidate, and I'm all for equality. And if they don't want certain people to come to hustings like they did in Rochdale, there are only 2 people in the hustings out of 11 candidates. They didn't invite anyone else. I'm not for that, me. I'm not for that. Even if it was a very far left group or a far right group, I would want them at that meeting. They need to be heard. We can't cancel people like this, and cancelling people like this upsets the majority of people. And that's why people don't vote, because they see it so corrupt and shady. But what it has shown with Galloway's campaign is that you can get in when you're the enemy of the establishment. Everybody, all the 650 MPs hate George Galloway. There won't be many who like him. And he's right there in Parliament now. We can do that. Everyone says to us that we can't win by the voting. How did George Galloway get in? How did George Galloway get in? You know, if we can't win and the established don't win, he got in. So it's a sign for everyone. It's a sign for our party. It's a sign for the independents like Nick. It's a sign for independent anywhere. Because what's going to happen now is where I needed 1,500 votes to get in, I'm only going to need 900 in my area. So that's how it's going to affect me in Oldham. So it's good for me, and I think it's good for the overall. Can't stand the guy's politics, but he's done the right thing. He stood up for himself when he stood in an election, and I give credit to anybody, even my worst enemy, that they stand up and run in elections, and he gets full credit for that. I've met George before, I must say. I've had a sit down with him and interviewed him in Batley. And although I can't stand his politics, I like him as a person. I like, he's a very motivational speaker. He gets people riled up and campaigning and all that. Obviously, the far side of that is that we get people threatening people with violence and that. But these are the kind of people we let into our country who hate Western values and the Western culture. And it's obvious, everyone talks about, I'll get called names, but it's there. That's what it's like in today's day and age. And I'm all for British culture and British values and all that, but these people absolutely spit on them, and it's horrible. Today, across the country, we've got hundreds of demos going on, and the police aren't really doing enough on these demos. I won't have any of them. And the thing is, I know people might support Israel or Palestine, but we should be supporting the United Kingdom first. And that means not Israel, that means not Palestine, that means not Ukraine, it means the United Kingdom. Okay, there's billions of pounds going to Ukraine, there's all WAIF and all that. It's become to light that Zelensky's bought 2 boats for £75 million. It's all over social media. It's all over social media. The German sites, the French sites have all got it all over. So where's he got that money from to buy them boats? Ukraine is a corrupt war. We should be putting no money into it. We should be focusing on United Kingdom. And I'm sorry, you know, I got comments like when I mentioned about the Israel and Palestine protests. I got a comment like, so this is what someone said to me. Oh, so you don't want the Jewish vote? As far as I'm concerned, that's bullying. That is bullying. Nobody talks to me like that when it's my decision to make. You know what I mean? And this is what the climate is now. If you don't support Palestine, people are calling you white, Zionist, scumbag and stuff like that. No one, it's nothing to do with me, this conflict. I was born in 1967. It's been going on since the 40s. You can bring up British policy. I'm against British foreign policy. I've been against every war since the Iraq War, me. And I protested. My first protest as a man was going to Manchester protesting against the Iraq War because we knew what was coming. And at the time, oh, no. Now we know that it was a fake war. Now we know it was all contrived by the globalists to start this war. And it's brought us into so much trouble. They ended up getting rid of Gaddafi in Libya. More trouble for us. And it's ended this way. And people knew this and no one were listening to them. There was such extreme figures, as Katie Hopkins said a long time ago what was going to happen. And everything she said it has come true. Everything she said has come true. You know, and I just don't want it on UK streets. I'm sorry if you're a Jewish person who lives in England, sorry if you're Palestine support, but the majority of England do not support them things and nothing to do with them fights. And we should be focusing on the United Kingdom. That's the way I want the party to go. That's the way I'm going to go. And that's the way I suggest everyone on goes, because if we don't, we're going to end up getting more into that rut, and our country's just going to be ruined. And I have to say that today. I know it's controversial, but I've said, you know, if you follow British values and customs, fine, but a lot of people don't. And I don't want to be awful, but there's 1,500 ultra-Orthodox children in London who aren't being taught properly. They're being taught in unsafe conditions. And one of the things I'm concerned about is our youth. I do videos about schools, bullying, 14-year-old kids taking their lives and stuff. The safety in our schools. And this is in London. But then again, I can go to Birmingham where they found a chop shop, female genital mutilation chop shop, underneath a publicly funded school for an Islamic school. And it's hardly on the news. I don't want our country like this. I don't want it. And female genital mutilation has been a big thing. There has been a conviction actually lately. And in 10 years, I reckon more than 100,000 children had been FGM'd. And nobody says nothing. They think it's all right. They think that we shouldn't do nothing about it. Honour violence is no good, and this honour kind of cultural honour thing is no good. I could go on forever. I could go on about honour violence against girls. A Banaz killing in Birmingham, where a girl went to the police 2 weeks before she was murdered and told them she overheard she was gonna get murdered. They didn't do nothing, and they found her buried in some yard. 8 or 9 people got convicted of killing her. They flew a family in from Iraq, but the police estimate there was 50 people involved in this girl's murder.
Oh my God.
I've said there has been a documentary about it, but you would expect something like that to be on the news every day. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And I've called out political correctness. That's what it is, a classic case of political correctness. I called it out the Merz question time. I've done videos about it. And I'm not going to accept that I have to live in a country like that, where they don't convict these people for doing these crimes. You know, and We fight against child abuse. How can we fight against child abuse when the government just lets these girls die, these young girls die and get killed, chopped up? And in London, one girl got chopped up and put into a suitcase on the violence.
Charlene Downs got chopped up, put in a
Charlene Downs, the police, they didn't say, they alleged that she was chopped up and put in a kebab machine. Nobody said nothing. Nobody does nothing. You know, I don't want to live in a country like that. What we need to do is vote our main political parties out. They're masters and us that they're supposed to be. If you look at all the laws of England, we are supposed to be the masters, us normal people. No, their masters are Israel. Their masters are Palestine. They're the ones calling all the shots over here. You know what I mean? That's not British. That's not our culture. That's not how we work. And I'm so against it, me. I know people have the different views. They might support Jewish people, or they don't do anything wrong. It doesn't matter. If they're doing something different, how does that show to other people who come to our country? Oh, well, we can do the same as well. We don't want that. We don't want that in Britain. That isn't Great Britain. And I'm so annoyed and wound up over this issue. I go to the Mer's question time. The next Mer's question time is going to be brought up. They might not let me write a question. They might not put my question up, but I'll be in the audience. I'll get my hand up and I'm going to give it the Mer. I'm going to give it the police. I'm going to give it all the political parties, how politically correct they are. I'm going to bring up these girls who were murdered, you know, and see what look at the face and see what's going on. Now, I mean, you know what else I'm going to bring up? I'm going to bring up about our kids, why they're stabbing each other. Supporting Israel and Palestine is not going to stop our 14-year-olds getting murdered on the streets. It's not going to stop them. It's not going to help our housing crisis. Giving money to Ukraine is not going to help our housing crisis, not going to help anything over here. And I think we've got enough going on over here in the UK. You know what I mean? And, you know, when you're brought up, your mum made you do your room before you went out. Your mum made sure the house was tidy when you were going out for that day so you didn't come back to a scrubby house. That should be the same for our country. Let's sort our country out first before we do things across the world. And I've said this before, I mean, the UK was specialised in a lot of things. And let me just take one thing, rescue. The UK rescue service across the world is second to none. You know what I mean? And what they're doing, they're just going escorting boats that have been brought over by France and then escorting them onto our beaches and stuff. That's what they're doing. They're not going to a country where they've had an earthquake, digging people out of the ground. These are the things that we excel in the UK. Our armed forces excel in these kind of rescue situations more than a lot of countries around the world. So let's focus on the UK first. Let's sort our own country out before we decide getting involved in other people's wars. And again, I'm sorry, I'm just so against it. It winds me up. When you live in Oldham and Rochdale and you see what's going on, it just winds me up. And they have the Palestine protesters in town centre, and I'm not joking. The other week, there was a guy who claimed he was queers for Palestine. And when I tried to tell him that he'd be the first person to throw off a building in Gaza, he just, no. Then other people, oh no, they accept it. No, they don't. No one's going to tell me they're going to accept someone like that. This is how backwards our country is, you know, and how unawake and ignorant these people are to what's there. But my name's John Lawrence. Thank you very much.
No question.
John, nice to meet you, Nick.
Lovely, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant, Nick. Thank
I'm
you
not
very
doing another
much,
speech. Thank you, everybody. And you.
I won't be in front of what I said, it's just, you know, in case you come up against it. You know.
I think it's disgraceful the way
Enjoy the rest of your meeting and thank you for the invitation. I'll see you all again.
Bye.
Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong.
yeah.
It's wrong. But, you know, like I said, everyone should get the chance.
I know.
Silence, please. Right, so we are a self-reliant party, and you know, if people haven't got any money, it's no problem. But if you could donate a couple of quid to our party, we would be very grateful. So just pass the pot round, please. Hello.
Oh, Nicole!
There you go. You missed all the speeches.
Thank you. You should get round there, Nicole.
Congratulations.